Hello, it's Bethany. I am a lower elementary Montessori teacher, and all my stuff is still up. I still have to set it up for the year, but I wanted to show you something, how I'm changing up how I'm doing cultural studies this year. And so let me just show you. So if you've been following around for a while, you'll know this is my scope and sequence, my work plan. I love it. It's blank. The kids have daily work they could do while they're waiting for presentations for math and language and cultural. So let me show you first how this kind of works, because I want to show you something with this, and then I'll talk about the cultural stuff. So first, these are my maps. I have them for first, second, and third grade. I actually just printed them out for the year. Sometimes I do them with, I have total math maps for all the subjects, and I did that last year, but this year I want to try doing it with the different, so time, money, measurement, numeration, the different ones, and I'll show you here in a second all the different ones. I've done it this way before as well, previous years, and I want to do it this way because I want to have the students also keep track this way. Now you might think that's too much, but it's not, because just watch. So with my work plan, I like to make sure that at each week the students are seeing numeration, geometry, a time, money, measurement in like rotation, word problems, graphs, and extra concepts in rotation. And then for language, I like to see the students do grammar, word study, writing. I don't have a reading map, but I think that's mostly for like the kids that are still working on blends and stuff, but also then it could be like novel studies for kids or things like that, or it could just be the reading work that's on there. I don't think so though. I think that it will be like novel studies, or if they're working on different reading concepts. And then for cultural, history, geography, botany, zoology in rotation, and science. This is how I've always presented it and how I've broke up the different concepts. So with the total math map, which I don't have out right now, it would be, numeration, then it was really geometry would be the third one, and then time, money, measurement, and then this in rotation. But with these ones, it will be clear to just jump from which ones. So in their portfolio, you can go watch my organization video, how you see it. This won't be in here because it's something new I'm trying this year. So it'll be like this, and they'll be like, okay, I need to do a math. Which math do I have left to do this week? Let me go look at my map to see what I can do next. Or I could pick a skill I'm working on, or I could pick to do whatever I want, because in Montessori they can kind of pick to work on whatever they want as long as it makes sense. And even if they ask to do division in first grade, I'm sure, sure, let me show you. And then they, okay, I'll wait till later to do that. And then usually they don't get to it, but sometimes they do, which is fine. I present anything the kids want to see to them, because I know it's like first grade, and I was even thinking about changing how it said first grade to just like level 1, because I even made, if you got my grammar cards, my new product of grammar cards, you will know I've made grammar cards for this. And so for example, these go specifically with the 36 weeks. So I kind of made updated grammar maps that are in the grammar map specifically type thing, and they just say grammar map 3.3. So the kids don't really know that it's the third grade, third grammar map. So I feel like I might do the same with this, just in case we have kids, that aren't at level, or so everybody just isn't like, blah, blah, blah. But usually it's a third grade one. But anyways, I just left them on there for now because I'm going to keep these in like a binder with all the students, and they'll go to it. I've also had it before where they keep it in their binders, and that's fine too. I just have a lot of new students this year, and I want to make sure that I'm keeping track. I also keep track in transferring classroom, all of that. But it's just, I want to keep these in like one location so they don't get lost or anything, like one binder, and the kids could come and see the binder whenever they want to see what they're working on next. And so they could even go to the binder and say, hey, Miss Bethany, I need the golden bead addition static. And some people are like, well, some people don't need that. They don't. I won't show it to them. I'll hop along the little things. But anyways, this is how I'm doing it for this right now. And I have a little example of a filled out one. I'll put the student name, the date/week at the top. They'll have a new one each week. And then they'll also say, I'm really avoiding geometry. I need to do more writing. But these are just things I know happen at the beginning of the year. So I just filled it out as an example one. But also, with this, I know some people like to have their students at the beginning of the workday or at the beginning of the week, like to plan out what they're doing. I usually don't do that, or you have student meetings. This would be a great thing for student meetings. Typically, I don't do that, but you never know. And then with this, because I don't write this down, or the kids don't write it down until they are completed with the work. So they could write this down as what they're doing, and they probably won't write it down on here either until they're completed. But they could also say like, or it could be, hey, I got this presentation, and then check it off when they're done and then write it on here. That way too. Okay, and at the beginning of the year, I usually pick more presentations of what they do because there's so many initial presentations. But now, what we've all been waiting for, the cultural. Blah, blah. So, I've only ever had lists for cultural, and last year I could show you proof. I kept track in little maps like this of the cultural subjects we did, but I've found out that cultural is not linear. And how I used to do cultural, let me flip you around for a second. How I used to do cultural was at 9 a.m. we would all come to group and do a cultural group. I would present what I picked to do the topic of. It fell into 4 categories: the geography, history, science, or botany and zoology flip-flopped each week. And I would pick each day what to do and just present that. I also did some more things where it was like long week studies. Like I know I did the rock cycle the whole week. Montessori is so versatile. You could do it so many different ways. So I'm just sharing how I'm doing mine. But this year, instead of that 9 a.m. group, what I'm going to do is each student will get what I show you now, which is basically I took it all for my scope and sequence and just put it in a way for the kids to like keep track of it themselves. And I'll show you in a second. But how I am going to do the group part now and how I'm still going to explain the cultural to them is when the students come up, they'll ask me, or I'll help them pick, because the cultural subjects, in fact, they're all behind me. I have so many shelves and I need to organize stuff back there of cultural topics. So what I'm going to do is at the end of the day, well, maybe at like 2:15, I have to see how this goes, because some people have like a morning meeting. I'm going to do like an afternoon meeting. And I know some people do like the rose and thorn thing. That's what they told us to do at training and stuff like that. A lot of kids don't like to talk about their feelings and stuff. I never had a end of the day group, but this year what I'm going to do is, because we stop at like 2:30 for reading work and silent reading, and I'm also going to have the students like track their work in the computer as well in a transparent classroom, or I'll put it in and look at what they did that day during that time. But before that, so either at 2 or 2:15, depending on the day, we're all going to come to group and they're going to share something they learned that day. I honestly don't care if it's math, language, or cultural related. I'm hoping it's cultural related. So then students, maybe, because we got into such a pattern, and there is a pattern with it. Okay, we do North America first. Okay, we do the timeline of life now. But maybe the student wants to just look at roots. I don't know. So I'm very much going to give them free range on that. I've never done it this way. I'm so excited to try it this year. I really am. And also what was happening, I would give the presentation, leave the cards out, and then the kids would just do like the follow-up work I gave them. But this year, I'm going to individually, or if they want to work in groups, what I imagine happening is one person's going to pick a cultural and they'll all want to do it anyway, which is fine. But what I'm going to do is give the presentation to the student and they will do it. Some don't need a presentation. Okay, go lay out the cards. They have to tell me what they learned from the cards, because usually I just lay it out, they do the work, and then they forget all the information. Boring, tired of it. They do the 3-part card, color in pages. Boring, tired of it. So what I'm going to do is they can pick I need to have examples of these, which I have not made yet, but they can pick maybe to do a 3D model of what it is. They can make a story out of, like, maybe it's parts of the mammal and they're going to write a story about it. I want projects, lots of projects in the cultural area, not just let me write the definition, because the students don't remember the definition anyway. Or they could even just draw them, be creative as you want. I'm going to give them free range with this. So then when they get to the group, they're going to explain to the group, instead of me just sitting there saying, here is the hair of the mammal, they'll say, well, here's what I learned about mammals. So not only will the kids also do those works, they'll hear other students explain them. And then what I also think I'm going to do, I'm not going to pretend, but I'm going to pick things that I'm working on as a teacher in the cultural areas and say, okay, well, today we're going to talk about North America because that's what I chose to study. So here are some facts about North America. What did you learn? And then I'll say the facts. And then what did you learn? And it'll be, maybe they did the plant. And so the next person explains about the plant. Maybe the person just did addition and they really want to show the students how they did addition. I think it will be a great way to have the students explain things to each other. Okay, so let me start talking about these. So these are what I'm having in place of my maps. I'm calling them menus. They're obviously brochures. We have the botany one, which lists, so botany's on this side, and then there's always extra topics because obviously there's so much they could do with botany, and then in any subject really, and then these are the zoology topics. And then it's the same thing. There's science things. I don't want to show you all of them. This, and then geography. So you'll get the thing. It's going to be great. I'll check it off and write the date when they do it. And they also could keep it year to year to see what they studied. But I was going to make little designs on the front, but I think one of the first day activities will be to color in these, or say, it'll be interesting to see, okay, well, I remember learning about this in science from the last 2 years. And obviously the first years will just pick something like, pick your favorite animal and put on this, you know, look at the different words, history, geography, that type of stuff. So that is in fact how I'm changing cultural this year.